All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, Connor on Shane. So, let's cover a few things in the market today. Market was nuts. Things have been absolutely wild across the board. I think today the entire market crashed out, things dumped, things nuked. We got ghosts here by the dip. Lots of things are looking ready for dip buying. So let's look at everything right now. Everything giga dumped. Bitcoin's down heavy. Um, honestly, the timeline today was ridiculous. If you just go to Elon's page, this dude has been just crashing out like crazy with so many random things. I'm not gonna get into anything with the politics or political side of things, but all this stuff he's talking about a recession here, which is wild. He dropped an absolute bomb too, right here. Trump is in the Epstein files. This might be one of the most viewed tweets in history, I think. You give it a couple of days, that'll be way bigger than it is right now. Like, that is insane. But it's like a divorce going on in the markets, which is wild. But aside from that, um, actually, I don't know why this is like not loading, but you know what? I feel like lately we have been seeing a lot of trench plays ending up doing very well over the last week, maybe week and a half. We've at least in our group here, we've had a lot of decent calls. A couple 100%, 200%, and then a couple really big gainers like we had for Mask. Even though Mask was one, I kind of called out of early after like a 2x, 3x for everyone, but many people have held that. And Mask is it's back to like 20 million, which is really good. I changed my PFP to it the other day, but I'm like, you know what? Kind of want to go back to myself on my profile, but I need to edit this. But I got to do a lot of different updates with myself, with the group here. But let's cover a few coins, because we also got Giza here. Or Giza, however you say it. So this was yet another one. And the overall thing I wanted to talk about, though, was I think I mentioned earlier, but I didn't get into it, was the fact that Sol and Base degen plays have been doing incredibly well. Like I tweeted the other day that I think Base Chain is probably my favorite place to be buying, jumping into coins right now. Because, outside of Kita here, which Kita here too, I honestly don't understand the hype for this. I literally remember watching this at launch and seeing it up here and being like, okay, I literally missed the whole thing. I don't understand why this has been such an absolute fucking runner. Even here, I remember this consolidated. And I'm like, this could be a call. This could be something to jump into, for a leg up. And look at that. That would have been a literal 10x just in the month of May. That would have been crazy. But like I said, Kita, I feel like has driven a ton of attention to Base Chain, and it seems like a lot of projects on Base have just been having like this PVE run, which when I say that, you know, PvP or PvE, you got player versus player, which is basically the Solana trenches where it's just incredibly competitive. Then you got PvE, which is player versus, I guess, entity or everyone, just meaning a runner that, it kind of just holds its floor, very easy with price action, and just over time continues to move and runs. Kita was a beautiful runner on Base, and obviously with Virtual's launches doing very well. I feel like Base has just been the place to be like jumping into coins. I did a ton of research today, specifically on a ton of different Base projects that I've been watching for, some of the newer ones, a couple from months ago. This one here too, this is not one we caught or anything, but this one though, same thing with tokenomics. It's okay. As a degen play to run, catch a few X's, potentially and get out could be something. But Giza here was one we did call, and initially we called a few days ago, or what, a week ago, week and a half ago. For a few days it was down bad, like 40%, until, it kind of ended up running. And I actually think Giza is going to play out very well. I put this here because this is where I called for everyone to start selling, at least taking initials, which is about a 100% gain, I think. Or I guess 150. Just, like just to get initials out and see what happens. So Giza, I think, is going to probably continue. My chop, but I have a feeling because of base having such good runners lately, um, I think something like this will definitely continue. And this is kind of like a DeFi, as in DEFAI type play. They're doing a lot with stablecoin yield. I think it's a pretty cool project. I'm not gonna get too into it. I just want to bring up a bunch of coins, just show you guys what I've been watching, messing around with. Different stuff here. I want to pull up Mask again. So Mask has been killing it. We actually called it again. Initially, our first call was 2 million. But this to me, so in our Discord, I have a strict channel for degen calls, and then a almost like a research tab. And in my research tab, I rarely ever just officially call a coin there. But Mask was one. I'm like, it was literally I don't even know what time it was. I was so tired, and I'm like, you know what? Tagged everyone like 10 times. I'm like, yo, guys, jump into this. This is going to be a pretty good coin to get. I aped into it, kind of called it there, and this one within a day ended up ripping, which is really good to see. But we actually recalled it again because I think this is just going to be a very strong coin. I think it's going to be almost like another, I don't want to say the next another whiff or another Michi, but I've never seen a like a meme coin community. Like this to me is a true cult community on Twitter. I have not seen a cult meme coin like this in probably 6 to 8 months. There's nothing like it right now. This to me is a top meme coin on Sol. So the thing is too is this is a newer one. If you guys have seen my videos in the past, I go into a lot of I almost have a two-part strategy with how I look at meme coins. You got meme coins that end up launching and they do very well at launch and they'll run for a while, sometimes a few days, sometimes weeks. But then you have, I'm going to pull up Retardio because this coin was one of my favorites all 2024, died out. But for an example, you have a coin that launches and it gets hype and it will go up and down and up, but it will continue an uptrend for a while because it's hype. Then the thing is too, this is kind of where I feel like Mask is. I'm not saying Mask is going to do another 20x from here, but it is in this hype phase where the market is finally starting to catch on and it's going to keep going up until it doesn't, until it crashes, consolidates, and chops for a while. I think when this starts to consolidate and chop, it may take a month from now. This I think is going to be a meme coin that I personally want to load up on. I love meme coins and they are always the fastest coins to bounce back. I don't care what anyone says. But yeah, Retardio is just down bad though. This is not even the point of the video at all today. But this thing, I don't know. Crazy how all of their Twitters got not hacked, banned, have not been unbanned. And they're still, the community is still on and off there, but yeah, this thing is just, I have to say it's kind of dead, unfortunately. But I'm trying to think too, because there are a couple other platforms that I wanted to pull up too. So we got something I've been very bullish on is O'Hara AI and App Coins. And we've actually seen this coin called Hello World. The reason why this is one of my favorite coins in the market right now, is this Hello World. So keep in mind, guys, this is not a call. I'm not trying to say anything about it. I like to do research on the channel. Not every coin that I bring up is for you to just full port right when I bring it up. Hello World, though, initially it was one of the first coins within this platform, O'Hara AI. And what this is, it's a vibe coding app, meaning you can create anything you want. I think I've made a couple videos on this now. You can create, I think I've done a snake game like once or twice. You can create whatever application, a game, anything you want. But they just had a huge update actually, I think in the last day, where they now have a really good like little AI assistant that will help you with it, which is very cool. But this is the first coin within the ecosystem, if you would. So this is not an official project token. It was initially kind of like a meme coin, but what we're seeing is that the O'Hara AI team is actually kind of taking this coin under its wing, and they've started to implement some sort of utility with it. So that's why I've been very bullish on this. But you got to keep in mind, guys, lots of base pairs, if not most of them, when they have very low liquidity, this is like the most volatile coin I've ever seen. Like 2 to 3 buys will pump this thing like crazy. So keep that in mind when you are looking to jump into anything. This is not just for this coin, but for any ecosystem. Lots of base coins have very low liquidity, and I don't know why. But with that being said, it is very volatile. So if you are jumping in and top lasting something on base, keep in mind that 2 or 3 people could sell and that coin can go down 30%. I'm not even joking. It was actually the reason why with virtuals, initially when we were looking at virtual, agents back in like October, November, December last year, same thing. Those ended up flying, and it was because their liquidity is very low. A lot of people don't really understand that or even think about it. In many cases, you can get a ton of X's and gains on coins if the liquidity is very low but still stable enough on certain coins. A lot of people will look very much so at market cap, but for me personally, I like to find coins within, a couple hundred K to maybe 1 to 2 million, in that range as far as like degen stuff, maybe sometimes a little bit more. Um, but when liquidity is very low on those too, especially on base, like I've been saying, these can end up ripping because again, when the market cap is that small, and two, when the liquidity is that tiny, it will take legitimately a few buys to start getting momentum on it. And then if the rest of the market, finally decides to jump in, that is why you see runs like Kita. I'm not saying Kita is running because of like low liquidity, because it's actually got pretty good liquidity. But just base has been trading beautifully lately. Oh, yeah, I don't know. So like that's what I've been looking at lately. Have been super hype on base. Everything related to ICM meta. That's what I'm going to talk about in a second is ICM coins. And then also potential ICM stuff on base that I literally just found a few hours ago. But anyways, yeah, regarding Giza though, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to go into this coin too much, but very interesting here. I would not recommend just buying basically at a top, especially when Bitcoin is, it actually doesn't look too bad because, this is kind of a random weird support level, but initially, this is what I was watching for Bitcoin. Kind of broke through, tried to retest, but I assumed it probably wasn't going to get all the way up, and then just giga nuked because of the, Trump and Elon getting divorced on all over Twitter today. But I actually think this looks a lot better for Bitcoin now. I'm glad it kind of went very quick. Is even on like a 4 hour for an RSI, it's kind of in an oversold region, which then if you look, this is on a 4 hour. The last time the RSI was that oversold, which it's not there yet, but if we dump a little more, it was literally in April. And from April, where did we go? Kind of went pretty high. So, maybe we bounce a little bit. But the reason why I had this random weird support level was, this is a general resistance kind of at all-time highs. This is like a very weird, not the best internal support range. You can kind of make an argument it's almost 2 different levels. But the way that I do it, I like to make very big levels. But like even here, I don't know. So I would say it's not at a very good level at the moment, but what I'm watching for is because this right here, we had a little bit of, price holding, some heavy rejections here. Maybe if you want to do something like this, just within this area of price and then heavy rejection, price came up to this. Price kind of was bouncing around this zone. So this would be like a general internal zone for me. My thesis for Bitcoin, at least, and I'll get back to Giza, what I was saying a second ago, but I think if Bitcoin is going to continue to down a little bit, it's probably going to hold and find a grip within like maybe mid 90s, 97, I would say. And then if it's going to attempt to go back up, it probably will. But I would expect something like this. And then if it's going to continue to go into a new high, probably something like that. But I'm really looking at Bitcoin now. If it, if it just continues to make very bearish momentum, that to me is going to be terrible. That is going to be a very bad look for it. But ETH 2 also has been looking pretty good. But regarding Giza though, I was gonna say because Bitcoin is at this place now, we don't even know 100% where it's actually gonna go. I think it's a better risk to reward now because we've dumped so hard. The RSI is coming down. Because it's at the lows, it's probably a better place to be looking for a bounce play, even if we do continue down. But I wouldn't be just buying a top though. So just if anything, wait for dips, guys. That's kind of the point of why I like to bring up a lot of coins that I'm looking at and things I believe in. Just wait for dips. You don't have to just top blast into anything. If things go up, they're always going to come down. They'll chop. And you can always jump in if it ranges like that. Same thing with, like, again, I'll bring up Kita. It's like, if it's going to be a very good PvE runner, Kita ended up just chopping for literally what? From March until April. It held the range, just sat sideways, didn't do anything. And all you do is like if price. Oh no, I can't do that. Just say if price was over here, right? And you saw it literally pumping up here, and you're like getting FOMO in your head. You're like, shit, I need to buy this right now. This is going to 2 billion, on this wick. You're getting FOMO. It's like, bro, just wait, let price dip, let it find some sort of level and support, and it always does. And if it looks like it has support, then jump in, take a risk there. Always risk getting into a project deep in the red and holding on a level versus just jumping into the middle of something. But again, in many cases, potentially top blasting could work out. This has actually been something I've been heavily looking back into because of that mask play. Because we got in at 2 million and I was very hesitant to like top blast more or things like that. And I sold early. And I'm like, it's like, why? I don't know. I've been so against top blasting, but on Sol, I swear, sometimes it actually might be the best thing to do. And I feel ridiculous saying that. But I've been trying to develop a better strategy for, using that in certain cases. So, but outside of that, guys, I think base has been killing it. We got Mamo. Mamo has been doing very well. Yet again, another just PvE runner. This was actually, I think, launched. I don't know if this was launched on Virtual's Genesis or if it just came out of nowhere. But this one, same exact thing. This has just been beautiful. Just a clean uptrend. This one I never called. I'm not in this. I'm not doing anything with it. But this is a great project. A couple people that I, know in the space also are bullish on it. I don't know what just happened. But Mamo, same thing. This has been a very good play, just in the last couple of days. But same thing. A lot of these projects do have a lot of hype. And like I brought up earlier with Retardio. Ooh, my bad. I'm like out of breath already. Lots of projects, guys, if you go to a higher time frame, when they first launch, they will look like this. They look like they are going up in a straight line. This is when you have to understand that this project is likely in some sort of hype momentum phase from launch because it had a good launch. It doesn't mean it's going to die out, but you have to understand that this hype at some point will die out. It's going to go up. Maybe it chops and maybe it comes down like 60%, bounces again, and then decides to run again. Always be cautious of when you're jumping in and always the time frame. But the reason why I'm bringing up base is because base has been so much easier to be just jumping in and riding a coin into another leg. It's been very one of the easiest chains you can trade on. It's like it is not like Sol. I swear, it's just so much easier. I highly recommend it. This is another one too I've seen on the timeline a lot. I mean, look at this chart. Same exact thing. I guarantee I'm not in this either. I'm not calling this. I guarantee this noise coin. This is probably gonna bounce and then go into another leg. I guarantee that. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't just jump in because I said that. But I think right now with Bitcoin down bad at the moment, could be a good time to be jumping into some degen stuff. And so the last thing I wanted to bring up, so that was O'Hara. O'Hara I think is super bullish though. It's I still have that thesis on app coins where a lot of people eventually will start to look at different coins that are created on platforms like this, platforms like dev.fun. But I do want to bring up a new platform that I just started looking into today, which is long.xyz. So if you guys are familiar with ICM coins, which I'll pull up literally at the end, but long right here is basically, I'd say it's pretty similar to Launchcoin. But I think it's a little different, but the idea behind it I think is very similar. And this is for projects on base, which I fucking love. I don't see anybody talking about this except like two people on Twitter. Um, excuse me. But so with Long here, it's kind of just like the same thing with Launchcoin, or any Web 2 dev, any developer that wants to launch, just in, I guess, whatever, community raise, they call it vibe raising for some sort of project or something they're building. You can come to this platform, and same thing, it's literally just a launch pad, but it's the way that they're kind of packaging this, which is where I'm very bullish on. Because a lot of people said the same thing about the Pasternak project, where, oh, it was literally just, you tweet about it on X and you launch a coin. But no, it was like everything behind the idea is why it took off. And I think the same kind of thing could happen here. But so with Long here, it's kind of just like I said, a launch pad. You can launch a token. Again, depending on who's launching and if it's an actual person, an actual team. But you can come in here, you can actually trade it, like whatever coins. I'm not buying any of these here, but like this random one, let's say. And sometimes some of them will have links, to their Twitter account, to their websites. You can check it out. You can buy on the platform if you connect your wallet. This to me I think is pretty interesting. But unlike Pasternak's project, when I say that I mean just Launchcoin on Sol, this does not have an official token for the project, which is like, bro, I swear some of these projects I keep finding, if they had official tokens, I would be full porting. O'Hara AI. If they had an official token, I'd be all into it. I mean, Hello World I think is a great play on this, one of the best, if not the only major play on this that you could be looking at. Then for Long though, of course they don't have an actual token. But I think what's going to come out of this, if people start to pay attention, and maybe in a few days, maybe in a week, 2 weeks from now, people will start looking at these and being like, wow, like, okay, so some random really dope project just launched using this platform, and then people will also start flocking and looking into it. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. But with ICM coins, let me pull up those on Sol. Got Launchcoin here. So I just have a ton of faith in this idea. I think if they can really make a better flywheel, tokenomics and stuff, and the founder, which I say Pasternak, Ben Pasternak, if he can change stuff up on this, I think this has a lot of momentum to just carry into, maybe another massive leg up. Because this would be the next rendition of what I would see as virtual. I brought up Zora as well. I love Zora. But Zora's a completely different idea as well. That's kind of content coins for any sort of creators or just people launching posts and stuff. Zora has a ton of potential as well. Launchcoin here is kind of for a similar thing, but for almost like Web 2 founders or people looking for fundraising for startups. And same idea with Long, but if Long can start dropping and launching some really good fundraising for projects that want to build on base, this is going to be a huge platform. That's why I'm bringing that up. I think it's going to be a big one. But with Launchcoin, there's a ton of great coins. Kled here has been fucking killing it, like nuts. And I remember too, this was a coin that we also called in our group. And I called this, and we had a generational fumble on this. Because Kled, I think I called this, I don't remember where. I think it was literally like here, at like 3 or 4 million. And then obviously look what happened. Boom, just giga nuke the next day, couple days. Revived, came back down. And the founder was very active and stuff still, but after seeing it dump like that, I'm like, yeah, we gotta get out. That was just gross. Like 50 to 70% like a day. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. But Kled ended up just, if we actually held it, didn't even look at it, and this would have been a very good play as well. So, sometimes shit happens like that in the market, but to me, it's just fun being on top of all this stuff all the time. I just love investing in a lot of these degen, some of these newer launches. To me, it's just so fun. I think it's a lot more fun than just, lately, just holding and waiting for, just like some top coins to just do something, because for months they just haven't done anything, because there's real money to be made just watching really good new fundamental projects launch, whether it is on Sol, whether it's on base. Highly recommend just paying attention. Because I've seen a lot of tweets too lately, just being like, oh, the trenches are so dead, this, that, the other thing. But honestly, I think the last week to 2 weeks has been incredible. It's actually been very good across the board, or maybe even like the last month. Obviously there's been some losses and stuff too, but so overall we've had some great, I'd say just great plays, and like lots of great coins that just end up moving every day. So outside of that, Kled, Glimpse, Dupe, which I literally made multiple videos now on these. Dupe ended up still holding. It's not doing anything right now, but I think, if you're very bullish on this meta, Dupe is probably a great one to just start accumulating. But initially, I don't know. I think Dupe is a pretty strong project as well. If this meta takes off again, which I think it will, I think Dupe will have a very good run. Another one too I brought up was Uber.fun. That shit ended up going to 0. So sorry for losses on that for anyone. Literally within like 2 days from when I talked about it on the channel, just nuked. But then we got Fitcoin, which is another one I'm still bullish on, even though this one is down heavy. But same thing, accumulating. We got Glimpse. Glimpse is yet another one on Sol. This looks like just an entire range of up and down from like a month, or almost a month. I don't know. Just wanted to make a full degen video. I feel like stuff like this, I haven't made videos like this for, you guys publicly for a long time, or even just covering individual altcoins. So I want to start doing that and continuing to do that. But keep in mind, like this is just all research, just different coins that I've been watching. Doesn't mean I'm buying and holding every single one. But like I said, I think there's a lot of potential if you guys are also doing the research yourselves, looking into these metas and narratives that I'm talking about. Because I swear, sometimes just being very early to any sort of meta and narrative is how you're going to make a ton of money. It's finding value somewhere where people don't see it yet. So outside of that, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.